Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Matthew Hayden, transformation coach, helps high achievers navigate the messy in middle of life, that is midlife and career transitions. And with a background in Navy, customer service, and leadership in learning and development, he brings grounded real-world insight to coaching, helping people find clarity, purpose, and next steps that actually stick. Welcome to the show, Matthew.
Thank you so much, AJ. It's a really pleasure being here, and that's an awesome intro. Thank you for that.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Matthew. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about midlife. We'll talk about midlife clarity for high achievers, and also for lesser mortals also we'll talk about all that. But before that, let's understand a bit about your journey, your background, Matthew, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, currently, I want to talk about the right now, and I'll talk about my journey. But right now, I'm a dad with 2 young boys, and of course, my husband. But my journey, it's not always been linear. It hasn't been a straight journey. And I believe that that's why I've been called to the purpose of being a coach, because of my experience and what I've gone through. And to share with you, I started my life with the Navy. I did 6 years working in communications, which is great. But I felt like that I was always there was always more for me out there. I just didn't know really what it was. And when I left the Navy, I had really high hopes of what I could do, except none of that came to fruition. And I think that all the roles that I had were very, it was harder navigating from being in the military, where we had lots of things given to us, into such an unfamiliar environment. And for about 5 years, I found myself going from role to role, just trying to work out what it was that I was going to be doing, until it got to a point where I wasn't happy with where I was. And in fact, I was angry. I was angry with the world. I was angry at myself and all this external blame, and that never really got me anywhere. So I realized I had to look at things a little bit differently, and I didn't realize that at the time, but I understand now. I was starting to listen to my values, and that was at the time I loved helping people, and I loved training people, loved to be able to bring someone from A to B in the best way forward that was really suiting them. And that's when I started my next level career of going into learning and development and becoming a learning development manager, which I worked in various organizations. But again, it got to the point where I did love most of what I did, but it wasn't really resonating as my journey changed again. And that's when it became clear to me that, I do love learning and development, but more to that, I loved helping the individuals, not just the organizations, but really focusing on the individuals. And that's why I'm on this journey now, to be able to have my own business, to be able to focus solely on that. And that brings me a lot of joy to where I am right now.
Absolutely. So coming to the topic, Matthew, what do you mean by messy middle? Why is it not a happy middle? Why is it a messy one? And middle is, if I understand, it's midlife you are talking about. Help us understand, why do we presume that it is a messy middle? People talk about midlife crisis. Help us understand that part for a common person, Matthew.
Absolutely. I'll call it the messy middle, because that's exactly what it feels like. It's almost like when you're navigating away from the person who you used to be, or to the person who you were, this identity that no longer fits. It might even be that everything looks good on paper, you've got the good job, but it doesn't really feel like it's you anymore. You're navigating towards something else, but you don't know what the hell that is, and you're not too sure what the next steps are. It's unclear. You're stuck into this place where you're not really aligned with who you want to be.
Absolutely. So let me understand it better for the common people. When we are young, we take decisions We think, we don't have many choices. So take a decision which will give us money, which will help us save, which will give us a life, which will help us start our lives. And then when we reach that particular stage, it will be a bit more stable life where we will have more decision making, where we will have more control over our lives.
Mm.
That part is mostly around that middle, messy middle that you call about midlife. What happens when you reach that stage, when you are much more stable? You're supposed to be more
Mm.
stable. You have people around you, you have partner or family
Mm.
around you. Then you are messy. I find it difficult to understand. What do your clients tell you? Who is the reason for that messiness? And how do they think I'm not the same person? When you are young, you
Mm.
hardly have any choices in life. You got to take the job that is in there. Only few people are able to make those choices. At least
Mm.
at some point in time, we have better financial stability, emotional stability and all. Then you are in a better. So why does it still remain messy? Help us understand, and especially bring in the high achievers. Means I thought that they have
Mm.
much more wherewithal at this stage of life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in my experience and working with the clients that come to me, it's I seem to attract those clients that they're just feeling off. What I mean by that is they're carrying all this pressure, but it doesn't feel like that it's right by them. And it's my belief that the more that we experience life, the more that we learn. And then the more that we learn, the more that we learn what we don't want anymore. And I feel that's a big part of it. So we go through life, we have all these expectations and we have this journey laid out. And then it gets to this point where it's no longer something that resonates with them. And it's almost like where you start to understand that you get to have a choice. And it is a choice. You get to choose something to do to be able to really resonate with what you want. And it's not something that is easily experienced from a younger age because you're just absorbed by all these experience, by work and by things that you love to do. And it gets to the point where sometimes it's hard to be able to understand when you're going through the corporate ladder. You have the expectation you want to be able to get to the next position, or you might transfer roles to be able to get up to the next level. But then one day comes and it's not what you want anymore. You want something to be able to align more with what you do. And in my coaching practice, that's why a lot of what I do is align people's values. And that's not an easy journey, because what we have to do is we actually have to pause. We have to slow everything down so we can actually uncover what those true values are before we can start to understand what we can do with those values and put that into the future version of that person, into where they actually really want to go.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's look at one part, that is, many people, if I understand, they overgrow what they are doing.
Hmm.
And that is where they feel stuck because they are not able to take decisions or to make that transition, and that is why you feel stuck. So it's a good thing you have come to a position in a particular place where you have grown to a level that there is no further room to grow there.
Hmm.
And that is where it is very important that you move out of that position to whatever you want, that is either for much more value, or purpose, or whatever it is.
Hmm.
Suppose there is a plant at your back, Matthew, and if that plant grows and it grows and grows and grows, there will be a point in time when the place you are, that room will be smaller for that plant. What will the plant feel like? It will start moving towards its death. It has to
Hmm.
move out. You will have to put it out, or the plant will die. It's the same thing. So why overgrowing a particular situation is a bad thing? Then this especially these high achievers, it means they are not able to take control of their lives, decision of their lives. They may
Hmm.
take business decisions, but they are not able, or maybe they are too attached to those positions that they feel like, even if I am stuck, this is the best place to be stuck. Either because you have created so many liabilities, either financial liabilities, other liabilities, you start doubting yourself. Why should everyone should be, they are themselves to blame. Then why are you a high achiever? Why not take responsibility and take a decision of your life? Help us understand from that point in view. Why to look at something else rather than looking at yourself?
Yeah, it's that's the thing. It's easy to be able to perceive external of yourself. What's really hard to do is to be able to take a pause and essentially hold a mirror up in front of your face to be able to reflect back on yourself. In this day and age, we're so constantly moving, we're doing things. There's always something to do, something next to move on to. That moment to be able to pause and reflect to understand what's true to us, that's a really difficult thing to do. Now, let me give you an example. I had an executive coaching, and this person, they wanted to be able to go even higher where they were. And through questioning to be able to understand, what does it mean? What are they going to get when they go higher? And the response was about they want to be able to be in a position where they're making more money so they can spend more time with their family. And at that time, the kids were already teenagers. And once I was able to understand what was happening for this client, I was able to understand, actually, hang on a second. If what they're wanting is to be able to have more time with their family, why were we chasing a higher position to be able to get paid more money? And holding up that mirror, I was able to ask if he was able to get that now to where he was. And it was as simple as that. It was just taking a moment to be able to pause and really hold up that mirror to be able to understand what it is that he truly wanted, and understand how we can actually achieve that without having to go up through these expectations that he believed that he had to go in order to be able to get what he wanted.
Absolutely. So, is midlife the reason for that? Or is it your own dilemmas in life the reason for? And these dilemmas can be there even at the age of 25, even at the age of 60, even at the age of 70, and even when a person is dying. Regrets
I agree.
and dilemmas.
I agree.
Where do you come into the picture in this, Matthew? How do you solve these dilemmas for such people, such high achievers, when they are themselves stuck and not able to take a control or decision about their own lives? Means life is passing by, but they are just standing by the roadside.
Yeah, that's a really great question, and you bring up a good point. It's not just people going through the midlife crisis wanting to be able to have more clarity. I went through the similar journeys multiple times during my career. That's why I say that my career was all over the place. It wasn't linear; it was zigzagging. But each time that I did, I was able to gather more skills, and this is why I do what I do, because people can, I'm going to say, waste a lot of time in being unhappy with where they are, not knowing where they want to be able to go. And that's why my work, I want to be able to help people through that. I'll get a lot quicker to be able to get that clarity a lot sooner, so they're not stuck within that. Because when I think about the different journeys that I've had, I remember I spent years stuck where I was, not knowing where to go, not even understanding what a coach is. And if I had a coach back in the day, then I reckon I'll be able to get out of where I was a long time ago. But in saying that, I wouldn't have had the same experience, and I wouldn't be in the same position to be able to help others get through, to be able to get that clarity sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. So, Matthew, you talk about clarity for this high achievers, midlife high achievers. And what is it about clarity? Means, what is clarity at this stage? What is it that confuses them? More money, is that something that should confuse someone? Even a kid knows what to do with money, more money, and then that is it. He or she does not want beyond that. Why is it that such people want money, more money, and get confused, and more money, so that I will get less confused? Then I will come to the what actually I want to do. Miss, this is sounding like very childish. Help us understand then. How do you help them see that clarity with that themselves don't know? What clarity does one want in this situation?
Alignment. So what I mean by that is often my clients are experiencing misalignment. So as we go through life, we learn different things. We learn what we should be doing, and here comes the world of shoulds. I should be doing this. I should be doing that, because that's what we believe is the expectation, and that's the belief that people hold. But when that belief turns out and into something that it doesn't really align with what they actually want in life, then that's where that comes in. It's from a misalignment. And so that's why taking that time to be able to stop and pause, to be able to actually get realigned with who they are. Because once we get through that, to be able to pause, then what we can do is we can focus on where it is that they actually want to be able to go, that is more aligned with who they are. And that essentially, when we get through that, that's the exciting part, because that's when we get to establish the new goal that is newly aligned with who they are and what they want. And that is what opens up so many more opportunities, because now what we're doing is we're getting out of this box that we're being told to be able to get in, which doesn't feel right anymore, to be able to become the person outside the box, or who they're meant to become.
Absolutely. So how about, because these people, they always look at life as performance and not looking at life as living authentically. And that is where the dilemma comes in. How does this look to you, Matthew? Because every time anyone who has achieved something, they always think every problem's solution is performance, more performance, high performance, better performance. But these performances do not give you purpose. These performances do not bring you core values. This performance does not give you authenticity. And that is where perhaps they are looking life from a very different angle altogether. And that is the root of all problems, whatever you call it, midlife crisis, messy middle, or whatever. Life is showing you your mirror, and you are looking at something different. You are looking at your phone. That's it. And a better phone you want beyond that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is not everybody can see it, because it's not always apparent. And what I mean by that is, if we take a certain stance on life and where we should be, like, let's take my naval career as an example. I was good at what I did, and my career structure was already laid out in front of me. I was on track to be able to get a promotion from leading seaman to petty officer, and I could have very well have remained institutionalized to be able to keep on going on this journey for the rest of my naval career. There was options for me. And it's easy to be able to fall into this journey if you don't question, if you don't be curious. I think that's a really important thing to be able to highlight, and that's what I did. I didn't necessarily like where I was heading, so I started to getting curious as to, well, if this isn't for me, then what else could be? And for me, it took years of trying different things before I was able to finally align with what was going to be my true purpose. But we only know with what we know.
Right. So one last thing is, these are all very educated people, and they have all read about that life begins at 40. Why do they forget about this? Why do they say life is messy, but life does not begin at 40? That is the time to start taking off. When you will have more time, when you actually start living life at that point in time. Why is it that they forget? Means I'm trying to still understand the problem of problems.
Yeah, it's I don't think it's a necessarily people forget. People don't know what to do with it. So we often get caught up in our own lives, and I still get caught up in my own life from time to time. We get busy. We get so focused on doing. When there's a problem, we want to fix it. We get so focused on all these doing. What's really hard to do is going back to what I was saying before, is stopping to be able to reflect on why am I feeling like this now? what is happening in my life to be able to cause me to go, holy crap, I don't want this anymore. Sometimes we think, oh, well, if this is feeling uneasy, then I need to do more. It's, that's the hard thing, just to be able to stop, to be able to really have a good look and in the mirror, to be able to understand, why isn't it feeling aligned anymore? Understanding what is changing for where I was heading, and what is if this isn't feeling uneasy, then who am I and who do I want to become?
Absolutely. So let's look at the solutions, Matthew. What would you suggest someone who is going through this? How to get started? What is it that they can? Not everyone will be able to come to you for coaching and transformation, but maybe they listen to you and are able to restart, reignite, transform their life.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest lesson that I've learned in my journey is that you can't do it by yourself. So what I employ my clients to do, and anyone else who listens to what I have to say, is build your team. And let me clarify that. Highlight people who are in your life who can be there for you, but give them jobs in what to do. So you can get someone to be able to hold you accountable, to be able to really showcase your value and understand who you are. You can even have someone to be able to help you hold accountable, going, I need to be able to do these steps, and I've got this person who can make sure that I actually do these steps. So build a team, but give them definitions and give them roles in what to do. I think that's probably the important thing. But I think that, once you're able to pause and start, start looking after yourself, start meditation, start journaling, start getting curious at who you are and who you want to become, that's a pivotal moment.
Absolutely. There's much to learn about all this from you, Matthew, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you. A lot of high achievers, a lot of people who are stuck in that life called midlife would want to connect with you, learn from you. What is the best way for them to do so?
The best way would be to jump on my website, which is www.matthayden.com.au, and connect with me there. Send me an email. Have a conversation with me. And that's the thing. And the reason why I've got a contact me form on my page isn't to get more clients. It's because I understand how important these conversations are, and I've been through it. I know I just want to be able to help people through it as well, because not everyone who comes through my contact form becomes a client, and that's what I want, because I'm here to be able to help people through this. That's the important thing.
Absolutely. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you, AJ. Really appreciate it.